Good morning, everyone. It is, the 2nd of September, 2020. We're still in the pandemic, and the professional wrestling world is still trying to adapt to the craziness that is the pandemic. Hard to believe that we're still in this thing. I've been following professional wrestling for 36 years now. I started in 1984. I was in middle school at the time. I had just started my 8th grade year. And it was the start of the golden age of professional wrestling, when Mid-Atlantic was really starting to really get good again, and Hulk Hogan had finally started his ascendancy in WWF at the time. And cable brought wrestling all over the place. You could see it on ESPN with the AWA and World Class Wrestling. You could see syndicated Mid-South shows and all of that back in the 80s. And now we're having more wrestling than we ever dared dream, not just because it's on TV, but because you can find it on the internet and a variety of streaming medias. But today, wrestling is struggling for a variety of reasons, not just because of the pandemic. First off, there's so much of it out there, literally so much of it out there, that you can't really catch it all. I remember when, as a kid, you had 2 hours on Saturday night on TBS. You would have an hour of Mid-South around noon out of Channel 3 in Charlotte. Worldwide would come on, NWA or Worldwide Wrestling would come on Channel 13 around 2, I think. It tended to fluctuate sometimes, depending on what kind of sports they had, whatever. But generally around that time. Sometimes at 12 noon, sometimes later than that, just depended on whatever programming they had. Then you had an independent station out of Anderson, South Carolina, Channel 40. It's not the same Channel 40 we've got today. It was a different one back then that had Mid-South, had WWE's Superstars, had a couple other shows I can't remember. They were probably worldwide, and I don't know if it's... they had another show. It was a 2 to 6 hour block. 2 to 6 in the evenings. And then, so basically your entire Saturday afternoons, if you really wanted to, could be based around professional wrestling. Today, you can watch it anytime on demand. Right now, I could watch the latest episode of Raw, SmackDown, NXT on their network. AEW, if you've got TNT and you have their online option for their TNT app on your phone or your streaming device, you can watch the latest episode of AEW Dynamite. I'm not sure how you would do Ring of Honor and Impact. I think they've got their own streaming services. We have to pay a particular amount a month to watch their archives and such. But in today's marketplace, you can watch wrestling anytime. You can watch plenty of it. You can watch it from sunup to sundown if you really wanted to on the WWE Network. There's so much content there. It's amazing. But the modern product has a problem. Yeah, the athletes are great. Many of them have charisma. Many of them can cut a promo. And it's not necessarily the wrestler's fault. It's the creative side of things. It's the storylines. To me, I can look across both AEW and WWE, the two major products right now, two major companies right now. AEW has some good things going on. They're good. They could be better. Watch the live shows where the big events would take place. That's not how it is anymore. Now you've got the big matches on TV and on pay-per-view. The so-called live events are, they're meant for you to meet the stars, but not AEW doesn't even run live events. WWE doesn't, especially in this pandemic. But even before the pandemic, AEW didn't run live events, or as they call them, house shows. I just don't get it. I really don't get it. Why it's not as enjoyable. The wrestlers are doing their best. It's just, I think a lot of it is just the fact that whoever's making the creative decisions in WWE, and that's obviously Vince McMahon, is the end-all, be-all of it. But I'm sure he's got plenty of help. But in AEW, they have problems. In Impact, they've got an issue with the fact that for a long time, they flat out sucked, and now their product's improved, but nobody's really watching it. Some people are, but not enough to where you can keep it around long term. NWA, the rebirth of NWA, the National Wrestling Alliance, was on YouTube. They weren't running house shows, and their show was entertaining. It had a lot of work it needed to do to get to where it needed to go, but it had plenty of elements to where, given time, it would really be good. Then the pandemic hit. Ring of Honor shut down. NWA shut down. Ring of Honor had been struggling for well over a year because some of the folks that moved to AEW from Ring of Honor left Ring of Honor in a pretty bad state. And they didn't know how to recover. Here's the crazy thing about Ring of Honor, for those of you who don't know. On the eve of WrestleMania 35, they actually played Madison Square Garden. Now, granted, that show was involved heavily with New Japan talent from New Japan Pro Wrestling. But that was their show, Ring of Honor's show. And it was supposed to be featuring the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, Cody Rhodes, and a few others. Well, as things worked out, they moved on to another company, thanks to All In 2 years ago yesterday. And Ring of Honor got left in a lurch. And they have had to do this from time to time. And more often than not, they've managed to not just survive, but find ways to thrive when their talent goes to bigger places. The problem is that this time around, they really didn't get off the mat as well as they had in the past. And now with the pandemic, they're having to scramble. Now they have the resources of a major communications company in Sinclair Broadcasting that kept them afloat. They didn't have that, they'd be dead by now. They'd already folded up and gone home. But as this thing draws out, they're finally about to release some not house shows, but they've actually gotten some tapes and stuff. Excuse me. They actually have finally taped some shows this weekend, I believe, to air on the Sinclair channels. If you get Ring of Honor, you've got a Sinclair channel. You can find it on Comet. You can find it online. So yeah. Here's my take on. Let me start with the takes for WWE this week. Okay. Why in the world would you break up the Iconics? Yeah, Vince is really high on Peyton Royce. I almost said Peyton Manning. Peyton Royce. But why would you break them up for no reason whatsoever? Oh, here's a Monday Night Raw. We're just going to have a match where, Ruby Riott and Liv Morgan versus the Iconics again. But this time around, whoever loses has to break up permanently. Whoever wins gets a title shot. Out of nowhere. No build up. No, let's reveal this match a week from now so everybody can get up for it. It just dropped. When you don't damn well know that Liv Morgan was pushed for a while there, then things changed. Vince fell out of love with Liv Morgan, and now Liv Morgan's in a tag team with Ruby Riott again, who has chronically been misused. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Very talented, very charismatic performer who finally came off an injury, and you turn her right back into being a heel and nobody cares. Where she could have been a massive babyface. The great struggle that she had to go through with double shoulder surgery, was out for months on end, and she finally came back, and you turned her into back to the old character she was. That made sense. It didn't work, and now the pandemic hit. Now you turn her babyface finally. It might work this time. But you break up the Iconics. And my feeling is, well, it might work for Peyton. What about Billie Kay? You going to hang her out to dry? What's going to happen with her? You're going to send her to SmackDown? You're going to send her to NXT again? So, yeah. What I fear is that they're going to break up the tag team. They break up this tag team. Peyton will have a push for a while. Then Charlotte will come back. And then they'll decide to bring up somebody from NXT and focus on them. And then Peyton will be basically sidelined. Because you don't know what to expect out of Vince. That's the biggest problem with WWE right now, is that everybody doesn't want to admit this in WWE, but I'm willing to admit it because I don't work for them. Vince McMahon is the reason WWE sucks right now. Every time I read on the internet about wrestling news, it's Vince McMahon is tearing up the script for Raw or SmackDown. They're having to rewrite the whole thing. And the show sucks anyway for the most part. Yeah, sometimes they'll have good matches. Sometimes they'll have a good show. Sometimes they'll have some good parts of the show. But overall, it just is not working. I'm sorry, it's not. They've got talented people there. The wrestlers are doing their part. Don't get me wrong, they are definitely doing their part. It's just that they're not being well served by the people that are doing the creative. And it just sucks. The Viking Raiders and the Street Profits had a feud that could have been great, except they made him a joke. Seth Rollins' gimmick right now, how long has he been feuding with Rey Mysterio and his kid? And he's what, some sort of religious figure or something like that, a cult leader or whatever? He's got one disciple. I thought he had others. What happened to AOP, Authors of Pain, which is not exactly the greatest tag team name I've ever known? I think one of them's injured right now. They kept the other off the show too. And then the other member was Austin Theory. Then he got in trouble, and now he's back on NXT for now until they figure out what to do with him. So what are they going to do? What are they going to do? I mean, and now the other night they lost the tag match, and Seth got mad at Buddy Murphy. Are they going to break up? What are they going to do? Is he going to bring in new members? And don't get me started on this retro. What is it? Retribution. You bring in a bunch of people either on Raw or SmackDown, almost every week. They run in, they beat up people, they trash the place a bit, they run out, and there's no reason for them to do it. It's just, this has been going on for a month now. Why are they there? What are they doing? Who's behind it? They haven't advanced the story at all. Now I hear that's going to be Raw exclusively. Why? Do they know what they're doing? Who's leading them? Do they even know? I mean, the Dark Order thing was sucking up until they finally made Brody Lee into a real badass, and they beat the hell out of Cody Rhodes the other night and win the TNT Championship. And now, New Order's, not New Order, but Dark Order is actually looking like they might actually finally be coming into a serious threat that you could actually take seriously. For now. But Retribution, who's their leader? Who are their members? Or some of their members? What's their agenda? Are they just there to beat people up? Is it Shane McMahon and his Raw Underground, which doesn't make a damn bit of sense either? I mean, it was fine the first couple of times, but I was thinking, maybe this was leading to something to where he's the leader of Retribution and he's there to fix things and all of that, and it's like, what the hell's going on? And real life intervenes, and Sonya Deville understandably has to leave and take a leave of absence. My thoughts are with her because I can't even imagine what's going through her mind right now. It wouldn't surprise me one bit if she says, you know what? F this, I'm out. I wouldn't blame her. But yet, they had her do a lose-or-leave WWE match against Mandy Rose. What's going to happen to Mandy Rose? What's she going to do? Her feud's over with Sonya. And when Sonya comes back, and she will, whether she'll be Sonya Deville or she'll be Daria Berenato, which is her real name, she's going to be a babyface. People are going to want to cheer her because of what she's been through. To me, wrestling right now just doesn't have it. And that it is a sensible, creative direction for not just the top of the card, but the middle of the card and even the lower of the card. WCW, despite all their problems, their mid-card and their lower card to a certain degree, always had something you'd want to watch. Until Vince Russo took over and completely screwed it up. Look at all the stars they had. Even before Bischoff took over, they had a lot of stars that just didn't have the creative talent to really make you want to watch long term. Now, what are they doing with many of their stars that are just around? Especially the women's division, which is supposed to be the big thing now. What happened to Lacey Evans? She came in as a heel, then turned babyface. Looked like she was going to have a long babyface run, and then Naomi comes back. Naomi loses a match. Everybody starts talking about making Naomi matter again, and which she should, because she does have talent. For some reason, they just don't know what to do with her. And now, in order to get Naomi over, they turn Lacey heel again for no reason whatsoever. There's no explanation for it. Oh, Lacey's going back to being bad now. That doesn't make any sense. At all. And what's going to happen with Tamina? For a while there, she was bad. Now she's good. Now she's not even on the show. Now she comes back all of a sudden to talk to Nikki Cross. And now we don't know what's going on with Alexa Bliss. And because she got abducted by either The Fiend or Braun Strowman. And we don't know what's going on. Is she the girlfriend of Bray Wyatt now? The Fiend? Is Bray Wyatt a babyface now, or is he a heel? We know Roman's supposed to be a heel because they've got Paul Heyman. Is Braun Strowman a heel now? We don't know. Roman, he looks great. He's doing the heel thing, which he should have done a long time ago. And it's really, really worked out well for him, I think. To the point where people will definitely cheer him because they like seeing him beat the hell out of people. What about Braun Strowman? Is he becoming a fiendish character in his own right? I don't get all the booking. And now, is Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross going to have a feud, or is Nikki Cross going to try and save Alexa, or I don't know what's going on.
Here's what's up.
Alexa, home. I forget.
In weather.
Alexa, stop. Sorry about that. I forget that I have an echo. So Ms. Bliss is either the girlfriend of The Fiend, or what? I don't. In SmackDown we don't know what the hell's going to happen on there. Is Bayley and Sasha finally going to split up? Maybe they're finally going to feud. Who's going to turn on who? That's actually, I don't mind having some doubt there. It's just the rest of the card. What's going on? The women's tag belts are on two people who despise one another. You just broke up two of your best teams. You're about to break up another third. What's going to happen now? It's ridiculous. It's stupid. I don't get it. Well, those are my thoughts. Y'all take it easy. I'll talk to you again soon.